Hello, welcome. Continuation on the statistics tutorial. In this episode 24, we want to look at what we call the assumed mean, which is used in finding the actual mean, variance in some cases, and standard deviation. So, as the word itself suggests, as assumed mean, it is just assumption or a guess of the mean. It is denoted by the A. So if you say assume mean, in some cases the assumption will be given to you that assuming the mean is this, find the actual mean. That is assumption. In some cases, you will not be given the assumed mean. You will have to assume the mean. Any number in your data that you assume will be correct. Just that it doesn't need to be closer to the actual mean, since we don't know what the mean is going to be. We just need to pick a value within your data set. But because you are aware a mean is under the central tendency, it is always centered at the center part. So when that will guide you when you are choosing the value. So any value at all can be chosen. This can be done on both group and what and group what data. So if the assumed mean is given, so the assumed mean is used to find the actual mean, to find the variance, and also to find what the deviation. That is standard deviation. So number one, if the assumed mean is given, then the actual mean is calculated using the mean is equals to A, which is the assumed mean, plus the sigma fd, where the f is the deviation of the assumed mean from the data point. So if we have data point to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've assumed the mean to be 5, meaning 1 minus 5, 2 minus 5, 3 minus 5, that is the d, right? Then the fd is their multiplication, all right, divided by the total number, which is the frequency. So to be able to calculate this, we can generate a table in this form, whereby this is showing the class interval. That is when we have a group data. When there is no group data, you begin with your x value, which is going to be the score, the mark, or whatever data point given to you. But here, if you are giving class interval, the class interval will be here, then the midpoint. The midpoint becomes the x value. Then the frequency will obviously be given. Then your d, which is the deviation of the data point, which is the x value, from the assumed mean, the assumption you have made. So you subtract the assumed mean from all the x values. Then you are going to have both positive and negative regardless. This is not absolute value. So if it is negative, you state the negative. Then fd, meaning the f that we have here times the value we have here. That's the fd. Then this come in only if we are asked to find variance and standard deviation. The moment the question is asking for only the mean, then for a group data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For ungroup data 1, 2, 3, 4. That is for finding the actual mean alone. But if standard deviation and variance is introduced, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Is it columns? Yeah, 6 columns for group data. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 columns for what? And group data. So these are the values we need. Now to find variance, variance, if we can recollect from the previous episode, the value we have sigma f x square or sigma f x square, where in this case we are not making use of the x again, but we are making use of d. So this becomes sigma f d square divided by sigma f minus the mean, which is the sigma fd over sigma or f, all these square. Right? Remember the previous one, it is sigma f x squared. But because there's a deviation in the value of x, so we go for the d now. So instead of going for fx, we have for fd. Then that is it. Then this give you the mean. The FD square is the one we are having in that place. So your standard deviation, let me just use SD, deviation will just be the square root of this value, sigma f d square over sigma f minus sigma fd over sigma fd what square. So these are the three formulas that will come to play if we are asked to find the mean, the actual mean, variance, standard deviation, and we are making use of the assumption of a mean or assumed mean. I guess this is also clear. Now, if the question is of raw data, meaning we don't need to draw a table, there was no need to draw a table. It means there wouldn't be the f. It's just there's no repetition of values. So it becomes sigma d square over what? The n. Since there's no f over n, then the sigma d over n all square for a raw data. Same apply here and same apply here. The f will go, the d will be there alone. I'm sure you grab that concept also. That is when there is no repetition of value, so there is no frequency. Every data is appearing 1, 1, 1, 1. Then we just go for what I mean is your mean become the assumed mean plus sigma d over what? N. N is for the summation of the numbers. Similar apply to all of them, ignoring the f from there. Let's pick a question. Okay, so let's look at this one. Imagine these are marks obtained by students in an examination. We are saying that assuming the mean is 15, we are to find the actual mean, the variance, and the standard deviation. Remember what I said? The table needs to be generated in this form. So I just went a continuation of that. So let's have our f values, which sometimes can be here, can be anywhere. So this is going to be 2, 3, 15, 10, and what? 10. Let's find the x. How do we find x? We did mention that the x is the midpoint of the lower and the upper class limit. So if you add the lower and the upper, divide by 2, you get your the midpoint. So 0 plus 9, that is 9, divided by 2, 4.5. Let's see if we can put some colors into it. So 4.5. In the case of this, is going to be 29. 20, if it is 28, that will be 14. So 14.5. So I have 14.5. Now, we can generate the rest by using the class size. You know, this is from 10 to 9 is 1. Half of that is 0.5. You subtract it from here, and that will give you negative 0.5. You add it to this, that will give you 9.5. So the difference between them, 9.5 minus negative 0.5, give you 10. Meaning the class size is 10. So if you add 10 to this, you get this. So 10 plus this will give you 24.5, 34.5, 44.5. If we were to add them and come back, you will get the same result. All right, what do we need? We need our assumed mean is given to us as what? 15. So we subtract that value from all the x value for the d. So x is 4.5 minus 15. 14.5 minus 15 in that order. Let's subtract that and see what the result will be. So when we subtract the first one, that is 4.5 minus 15, you get a negative 10.5. 14.5 minus 15 will give you negative 0.5. Then the next one will be 9.5, 34.5 minus 15. That will be 19.5. How about the next one? 44.5 minus 15. That give you 29.5. So if that's the case, we have all these values. The next is to multiply the d by the f. df. Don't forget the negative will still remain itself inside. So let's use a red marker and see if you multiply. What is this? This 2 times 10, that will be 20, 21 point, I think that's 21 exactly. So I'll be having negative 21. If I multiply that, then 3 times 0 point that, negative 1.5. About 15 times, that'll be 9.5. So we have 142.5, 19.5 times 10. That will be 195. I think this will be 295 if you multiply that in there. All right, what is next? We need to find the FD times D. FD times D will give you FD squared. So this value here as negative times this negative will give us positive value. So let's multiply them and see what that value will be. Right? So this is what the FD squared values will be. We can see that in this formula, the values are large. So you take your time when you are inputting the values in the calculator. So it is the FD value negative 21 times the D. So negative times negative give you positive. That is why all these values are what? Positive values. So the next thing to do from here is to go for, so I begin from here or there. Okay, let's go. The first one is to find the mean. And we know the mean is the assumed mean plus sigma FD over sigma F. That means the assumed mean is 15 plus sigma FD, what we have? 610 divided by what? Sigma F, that is what? 40. That makes it 15 plus. This is 15 point something. Let's see what is that to be. 610 divided by 40, that's 15.25. And if we add that, that will give us what? 30.25 as the value of the mean, the actual mean for this what? Data. Then the next thing to find is to find variance and what? Standard deviation. You can make a copy of this. I'll be cleaning here, only leaving the total so that we can use them in the calculation. So for the B or the I think it's I, not B. We are using I. So what do? Variance is just sigma FD square over sigma F minus the mean, or let's just repeat what we have, sigma FD over sigma F all square. So by our substitution, sigma FD square is 1,000, okay, 14,080 divided by sigma F, which will be 40, minus sigma FD, where we have FD, okay, 610 divided by sigma D, which is what? 40, all square. Let's divide that step by step and see. 14,080 divided by 40, that gives us 352 minus the other one is 610 divided by 40, and that will be giving us 232.5625. Let's perform that subtraction. 352 minus 232.5625. That will give you 119.4375. We were not giving any specific decimal point. All right. So for the standard deviation is just the square root of sigma fd square over sigma f, sigma fd, sigma f all square. And you can see all the thing under the root is the same as the variance. So we just go ahead and put the value we have for variance 119.4375 under the root and see what that value will give us. So that will be giving you 10.929 if I'm going for 3 decimal places. So you can see that we can also use the assume mean in order to find the variance and the standard deviation. What we have to make clear is that if you are not asked to use the assume mean, you can still use it. That is, you can still, if you master this formula, you can still use it to calculate the mean, standard deviation, and the variance, regardless of the question. But if the question did mention of the assumed mean, if you use the other method, your answer will be right, but it will not be marked correct because you have been restricted that using the assumed mean, find this. And if you follow the other formula, you are going to get the result correct, but the method will be marked wrong because the answer will come back to be the same thing. But because you have been restricted, just like we have done in this question, you have to stick to this formula. All right. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.